Hey folks, Kay here. Just wanted to do a quick disclaimer before we go into the Rocky Horror Picture Show episode. Sorry that this is late, first of all. Second of all, I wanted to be as upfront and honest with everyone before you listen to the show regarding the tone of this episode. This is not a standard tone-deaf episode. It is quite a bit more serious because I personally do not have a very good relationship with Rocky Horror Picture Show. Little bit of background, as you may know, I am non-binary. I was in the closet about it until a couple of years ago. This show, well, the midnight showing that I saw of it at one of our local theaters, is the reason why I stayed in the closet for so long. So, I personally do not have a good memory of this show, and rewatching it reminded me of all those bad memories. So this show goes into that. This episode also goes into the creator of Rocky Horror Picture Show, who has had some very transmisogynistic comments that I absolutely do not agree with, and it made this rewatch even worse. If you are curious about these comments, there is an article on Pink News that you can read. I'm not going to say the name just because the name itself pissed me off, but you can find it on Pink News if you search for Richard O'Brien. That being said, if you happen to love Rocky Horror Picture Show, that's great for you. If you love the scene around it, the type of the community that's built around the movie, great for you. This episode probably isn't for you. And if you don't want to listen to this episode, that is perfectly fine. That is okay. Everyone has different views, and that's kind of our philosophy with this show anyway. I just wanted to warn you before you listen. That way it doesn't surprise you, especially when you get to the second half of the episode. Thank you, and we hope that you enjoy.
Tone Deaf is the journey of a musical theater nerd, bringing musicals into the life of their musically challenged spouse. The reactions to the musicals are real and mostly unedited. This show is rated explicit for mature content and strong language. Now sit back, relax, and have a laugh. You're listening to Tone Deaf.
Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren, and I'm surrounded by toast and hot dogs. Kay, why?
Oh, because instead of going to the Tower Theater and having a panic attack because of people, we're going to have our own Rocky Horror Show midnight screening here. Except not at midnight, and I'm not going to be shouting at the screen.
So you just wanted to recreate the panic of being in public, but in the privacy of our own home.
Exactly.
So that's why you're wearing a corset?
Yep. Yeah, wait. Why did you think I was wearing a corset?
No reason. Though, that also explains why Latte is dressed up too.
Yes, who's a good riff-raff? You are. You are.
Riff-raff?
You'll see. You'll see. So, yeah, we're gonna pop your Rocky Horror Picture Show cherry and watch this cult classic in the comfort of our own home.
As long as you keep the corset on for later.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. It's kind of uncomfortable, actually, and I didn't think this through. Turns out there's a reason that people don't wear these much anymore. And my fat ass can't fit into it for very much longer.
Your fat ass.
So, Rocky Horror Picture Show is based on a musical, The Rocky Horror Show, by Richard O'Brien. Now, this is a throwback to B horror movies from the 30s and 60s, and it's complete with the whole couple gets stuck in a strange castle plot device. Because there's the two different shows, there's Rocky Horror Picture Show and Rocky Horror Show, I'm going to focus more on the movie than the stage play, because we'll eventually do the stage play.
So which one is which again? So
Rocky Horror Picture Show is the movie.
is the movie. Okay, that makes sense. Picture show, moving pictures. Okay.
Yeah.
And just Rocky Horror Show?
Yeah, Rocky Horror Show is the play.
But they're basically the same? Like, in terms of, like, same plot
Yeah,
and songs?
same plot and songs,
Okay.
different
presentation, given that one is film, which is a series of pictures, and the other is flailing people on stage in lingerie.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, as you know, there are differences between stage and film, so I'm not going to go into the entire theater history of the stage show with this presentation as I would normally, because, again, differences. There's things that translate to film that don't translate to stage and vice versa, as you've seen with, like, Rent is a good example with that one, and as you will see in December with Cats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that will be an interesting one.
God, it's the countdown to hell. So, let's go into a brief history of the musical before I go into the history of the film. So, Richard O'Brien was a B-movie and sci-fi buff, and he started writing this musical to keep himself busy in the winter during the early 70s. He was an actor, but he wasn't doing anything at this time, so he just started writing this show. And he wanted to kind of mash up B-horror films and sci-fi and the rock and roll of the 50s and those Muscle Man films and stuff and just mash them all into one thing. Now, we've talked about this off mic and on the Discord a little bit, but even though there are themes that are LGBT themes, he actually didn't intend that to be the case, especially the themes for trans people. And to not get into his own views that he has stated in articles about trans people, that's not what his focus was. In fact, he kind of did it because of the glam era in the 1970s in England. Glam being the rock where the men had the long hair and wore a lot of makeup and stuff. It was a way, like, he viewed it as a way for him to be himself more.
But fuck anybody else who wants to be themselves more.
Yeah, I get really mad at the stuff that Richard O'Brien has said about trans women in the past, and I'm gonna try really hard to not rant about it, but I will just say right now the viewpoint on Tone Deaf is that trans women are women, trans men are men, and non-binary people are valid. There we go.
Tone Deaf would like to state our support for all members of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes, and ace people are valid too. Boom, said it. Mic drop. So, that wasn't the main theme for his show. It was more the glam rock, the sci-fi, all of that. This is the issue with using my phone instead of the computer. So he got Jim Sharman to direct, and this was while he was still working on the script. The script wasn't even finished yet. But they had worked together previously, and then he got Tim Curry on board. And I'm going to totally butcher this, unless you want to read this as Tim Curry.
So, do we want a female butchering of Tim Curry or a male butchering of Tim Curry? You know, why don't I can butcher Tim Curry.
Okay, so right here...
That's a terrible soundbite. Someone's...
So, starting at I'd Heard.
Okay, sorry, right here. And do this, Tim Curry?
Yeah.
The best I can?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be really bad. I'd heard about the play because I lived on Paddington Street off Baker Street, and there was an old gym a few doors away. I saw Richard O'Brien in the street, and he said he'd just been to the gym to see if he could find a muscle man who could sing. I said, why don't you need him to sing? Ha ha! He told me that this musical was going to be done, and that I should talk to Jim Sharman. He gave me the script, and I thought, aha, aha, aha! Boy, if this works, it's going to be a real smash. So I ad-libbed some of those lines. I bet you can't tell by Kay's laughter. I figured for Spoopy Month, might as well include the spoopiest of clowns from it.
I will say that, I still am more creeped out by Tim Curry's It. Granted, I haven't seen Bill Skarsgård's It yet, but Tim Curry's still, just the image creeps me out more. Because he looks more like the type of clown that would murder.
I like Tim Curry a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Curry has been in some interesting garbage. He has played some interesting roles, and he's played some horrific roles.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tim Curry. I don't like every role he's in, and I already have a feeling I'm probably not going to like his role in our upcoming show. This might be my least anticipated show that we've reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
I have never once had the desire to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And,
I'm still amazed that your mom had it, so...
Well, then again, it came out when she was in high school, I think she said.
Yeah.
And she remembered going to see it and being, like, enjoying it, you know?
Yeah.
But I am not my mother.
No,
and,
you're not.
And I'm not super excited for the show.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I love you.
I love you.
And I love our listeners.
It's okay, because I'm not super excited about this one either.
This is a journey together.
This is a journey together. So, fun fact, though.
I like fun facts.
This show was not originally called Rocky Horror. It was actually called They Came from Denton High. But Sharman was like, no, let's change the name.
Yeah, good call, because that is a dumb title.
And it was sort of like throwing back to the, it came from outer space!
Yeah, I get the feeling that was what he was going with, but Denton High?
I mean, that it makes sense for, like, where the thing takes place, but, you know.
It does not roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. And Rocky Horror Show is kind of more like a, what the fuck is this about? Rather than, and it would make you turn your head and go, I think I'm going to go see that. Rather than it came from Denton High, like, okay, whatever, another fucking B movie. So, the show premiered on June 19th of 1973 in the Royal Court upstairs. So this was a 63-seat theater.
Okay, so a pretty small theater.
Yeah, and this is on the West End. So, didn't premiere in the US yet. And it ran until July 20th of that year. And Tim Curry was basically instrumental in how his character Frankenfurter would be played. Yeah.
His name is Hot Dog.
Dr. Frankenfurter.
Dr. Hot Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and it said that he wasn't playing him as just a quote-unquote a queen, but as the Queen of England. So he's like making Frankenfurter very posh. And
one of the scenes that I have seen, Tim Curry leans so heavily into this role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, god damn it. Okay, keep going.
You're fine. So the initial run was successful enough for the show to be moved to the Chelsea Classic Cinema from August 14th to October 20th of 73, and then it was moved again to the King's Row Theatre, which was a 500-seat theater, and that ran from November of 1973 to March of 1979, and then it moved again to the Comedy Theatre, and this time, so this whole time, it's a one-act show.
Really?
Yes, just one act. Once it moves to the comedy theater, they split it into 2 acts.
So when you say that, when it's a one-act show, when I hear that it's a one-act show, I think that it's a smaller, shorter show. You're saying that they just did the whole thing.
They just did the whole thing
no
in
breaks,
one act.
just basically
no breaks. And that is a thing that happens. Like, some shows, they will just do the full show with no intermission. Intermissions are just a courtesy to the actors and the audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, we sit through 2.5-hour movies without a break, so I mean, it's not unreasonable, I would say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do get why they give the actors a break.
Because honestly, I do wish that intermissions would come back into vogue in movies. But that's just because I like those, and sometimes you need a little bit of time to digest what you've seen on the film. So yeah, there's my point of view. Anyway, so, like I said, we'll talk more about the stage play and its impact when we cover the play eventually, but, since this translates differently to film, I'm now going to kind of focus on what led to the film. So, Rocky Horror hit Broadway in 1975, which is the same year that the film premieres. The film was shot in England at Bray Studios, Elstree Studios, wow, I can read, and also on location at this Victorian Gothic manor in Maidenhead called Oakley Court. This Gothic manor was seen a lot in the Hammer films, and it wasn't in good shape when they were filming. It's I believe it's been restored. Much of the cast from the London production returned to the film, including Tim Curry, but Fox Studios, who was producing this, was like, we want these 2 American actors as our main couple, Brad and Janet. So, yeah. So they get Barry Bostwick as Brad, and Susan Sarandon as Janet.
Really?
Yes. Not so fun fact, Susan Sarandon got pneumonia while filming.
Oh, poor Susan.
Yeah. With the stage shows, much like every stage production I've done, the cast did their own makeup.
Oh,
so that wasn't the case with the film, because movie producers. So they got Pierre LaRoche, who did makeup for David Bowie and Mick Jagger, to do the makeup. And according to a designer named Sue Blaine, this film was actually influential on the punk style. Because this is pre-punk. Punk doesn't exist yet. But if you remember, fishnet stockings were big with punk, you had colored hair, you had kind of odd makeup with punk.
A lot of asymmetrical designs and things.
That comes from Rocky Horror Show. And Rocky Horror Picture Show as well.
So I have them to blame for that aesthetic.
For punk, yeah. And the costume designer, as I said, was Sue Blaine, and she didn't want to do this. Curry was going to be there, so she's like, okay, well, I'll do it. But she didn't research what costumes to do to emulate the B-horror sci-fi film, or feel of the film. So these are her own words. When I designed Rocky, I never looked at any science fiction movies or comic books. One just automatically knows what spacesuits look like, the same way one intuitively knows how Americans dress. I had never been to the United States, how people looked there. Americans wore polyester so their clothes wouldn't crease, and the trousers were a bit too short. Since they were very keen on sports, white socks and white t-shirts played an integral part of their wardrobe. Of course, since doing Rocky, I have been to the United States and admit that it was a bit of a generalization. But my ideas worked perfectly for Brad and Janet.
I love the journey of her dialogue there.
Right?
Where she's like, I didn't need to go learn anything because I already knew. And then afterwards, I've realized how wrong I was. But it's okay because it was my idea and it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So I love when people brush up against self-awareness and they're like, I'm almost self-aware, but not quite.
Yeah, so the costume budget was more than the stage production's budget.
Jesus, what? Because they were just filming in one location pretty much, right?
Pretty much. Let me tell you what the
Sorry.
costume budget was.
What?
Well, actually, guess. What do you think it would have been?
I know that they're in a lot of lingerie, and I'm just sitting here going, you guys are scantily clad for most of this, if I'm just guessing. I would... Okay. I bet that the costume budget is way more than it has any right to be, and way more than I want to believe that it is. Yeah, you kind of have this twinkle in your eye of like, you're on the right course, Warren.
$1,600.
What?
Yep. I mean, this is 70s money, but
still.
still.
$1,600 for costumes.
Yeah, and the budget being such was because a lot of the costumes had to be doubled up on. There's going to be a scene with a swimming pool, and they needed 2 corsets. They needed one that would be in the pool and one that would be dry for when they're shooting outside of the pool.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So things like that. And these costumes, though, are ridiculously iconic. And at the midnight showings, you will see replicas of these costumes being worn.
Oh, yeah. I, being someone who has never seen this show, I have seen some images, and it is iconic enough that me as an uninitiated can identify when someone's wearing
a Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly because I look at it, I go, what the fuck are they wearing? And I go, oh, it's from Rocky Horror.
Yeah. So, the lips in the opening sequence singing science fiction double feature are, actually, they belong to Patricia Quinn, who plays Magenta in the film.
Did she get him back after filming?
No. They had to film her scenes first, and then they took her lips off and made them move into making it look like she's singing science fiction double feature, but she's not the one singing it because they stole her lips. So instead, it's Richard O'Brien singing science fiction double feature.
You heard it here, folks. The ability to sing comes from your lips.
Yes, not from your vocal cords. It comes from your lips.
Kay is a wealth of knowledge.
So, the movie released on August 14th in 1975 in the UK and September 26th in 1975 in the US to small audiences.
Yeah, that does not surprise me at all.
In fact, the small audiences led to the New York release being canceled at the time because people weren't going to see it.
It's freaking weird. Like, that's the thing, man, is I can understand, because it's considered a cult classic, so it's like one of those things.
We're getting to why.
Okay, I will shut up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So Fox tried to save the release by double billing it with another film, The Phantom of the Paradise, but again, audiences were too small, and these were at college campuses that they were like going, we did this movie, we've got to do something with it.
We got to make money off of it.
Yeah. So, of all the things that could help save this movie, I didn't realize this. Reefer Madness is to thank for creating the cult classic of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because at this time, Reefer Madness is being shown in midnight showings.
Oh my god. Did they pair this movie with Reefer Madness?
No, but they got the idea of, let's release this at midnight. Okay. So, April 1st, 1976 is the first midnight showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And this, along with allowing guests to come in for free if they arrived in costume, started making it a cult classic. Then you have Shadowcast performing the show live while it's playing on the screen in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. That adds it, again, another layer of making this into a cult classic, because this isn't something that's done, not even with shows like Reefer Madness at the time. And so that cements it not only as a cult classic, but also turns it into the longest running release in film history.
Oh my god.
Tired people at midnight.
Snatching victory from the jaws of defeat.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And even though it wasn't intended originally, this film has a huge cult following in the LGBT community. I don't want to get too spoilery, but Brad and Janet being initiated into this world of Frankenfurter and his wild castle and the sexual exploration in the castle kind of pairs up with the self-exploration of an LGBT youth. And then you also have, at the midnight showings, an initiation of Rocky Horror Virgins, which I luckily did not have to deal with, because I watched it at home before going to see it, because my ex warned me, and was like, you will get brought on stage if you've never seen this before. Watch this at home. And I'm like, thank you for letting me know this, because I will die of anxiety.
Yeah, I would have been on stage dying of anxiety with you.
Yeah,
that situation.
So, anxiety ahoy there. There are also themes of bisexuality in the film, as it had been in the 70s, which... So, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this show, because I saw it at this point in my own self-discovery where I wasn't yet aware that it was okay that I was bi. I thought I had to pick a side, and I also wasn't 100% comfortable in my body. I'm still not, but I didn't feel good about my own gender identity and the fact that I was fluid. And so this movie, for a lot of people, was a positive experience. For me, it made me feel more like a freak. Because I'm sitting here seeing people, and maybe it's the audience too, because when you're in Utah, granted there are a lot of LGBT folks in Salt Lake, but I kind of felt like my own, I wouldn't say androgyny, but my own gender fluidity was kind of a joke, and same as my own bisexuality. And as someone who is on the spectrum, so it's hard for me to understand when jokes are being made out of just pure joking rather than meanness. So it was one of those things where I'm like, great, another thing about me that's wrong. And that's not the way that most people feel about this, that's just how I feel about it. Which is why I feel very mixed about this show. Because, again, for most people, this led to their awakening. For me, it pushed me further in the closet. And further in the closet as a non-binary person, not necessarily as a bi person. That was also helped by Rent, honestly, because there's too much stuff in both of these shows that are kind of the biggest LGBT influences where bisexuality is akin to being a slut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can be monogamous and be bi. That's me.
Yeah, because that's one of those things that I also grew up thinking that people who were bi were...
Yeah.
Oh, well, they'll just have sex with anyone.
Yeah,
kind of
and that's not true. And so it was one of those things where I have a really hard time with this film because of that. And I don't want to step on anyone's toes because I know a lot of people have positive emotions associated to this show. A lot of people have positive memories and go, this is what made me know I was okay. I just didn't come away from it with that. I came away with it going, wow, people like me are a joke. And especially then later knowing the creator's views on trans women, I side-eye this show really hard.
From what you were telling me.
Yeah, because it was a Pink News article in 2017 where Richard O'Brien was reacting to Caitlyn Jenner. And granted, I have my own problems with Caitlyn, but it's not with her being trans. And I support her being trans because, you know what? Trans women are women. and whatever you need to do to not want to kill yourself, I am fine with. I do not agree with Richard O'Brien saying the things that were said in that article. And then it seems like O'Brien doubled down a bit in a Daily Mail one, and I'm just kind of like, man, don't do that shit. Don't do that shit. We are in this community together, and we do not help each other by tearing each other down.
That's very, very well put.
Yeah, so that's why I have a hard time with this show.
It's very well put, and 1,000 times more diplomatic than I would be.
Yeah, it's why I have a hard time with this, because I don't like feeling like I'm a joke.
You don't like when people imply that you're wrong just for being.
Yeah, because I dealt with that my whole life for being black, being on the spectrum, being
not
Mormon, being non-religious. It was one of those things that I dealt with that already. And so I side-eye people a lot in these sorts of situations that create things that they're like, that they then say things like what Richard O'Brien said. And you guys can look up the Pink News article. I'm not going to quote it, because it pissed me off.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It was one of those things. I was looking at it, researching this, and I was ranting to Warren for a while about it. So, anyway, back to the show. There was an attempted sequel. Actually, a few attempted sequels.
Now, when you say attempted sequel...
Yeah.
Is it like attempted murder?
It's like... Well, I'll get into it. The first one was Rocky Horror Shows His Heels. And this would have somehow brought back everyone from the first film, which... Okay, I guess, because B-horror movies do that sometimes, even when they shouldn't be able to. And O'Brien couldn't get Sherman to agree with it, and Curry didn't want to come back. So...
God... I love you, Tim Curry. Thank you for agreeing to not come back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for not doing this one.
I love Tim Curry, but I know that I'm not going to look at him fondly over the course of this movie just because... Weird.
Well, and, like, then... Sharman and O'Brien do a movie called Shock Treatment, which is the follow-up to Rocky Horror. Didn't star any of the leads, and it did really poorly.
I was going to say, if it's a sequel, but there is no obvious connection to the past success in it, it just seems like they're trying to, quote-unquote, do a sequel, but really it's a completely different movie.
And sometime we'll probably watch that one, but...
It's also a musical?
I believe so.
Shock Treatment?
Yes, which, again, I just go...
Given the context of Rocky Horror Picture Show and the community that gripped onto it, and then you're going to have a sequel called Shock Treatment. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Shock Treatment sounds a lot like conversion therapy, or let's
sounds like what they were doing here.
Let's shock people until they behave in a way that we deem appropriate.
Maybe it's not that, but
maybe it's not.
I'm side-eyeing it because I don't trust easy. So then O'Brien tried again with Revenge of the Old Queen, and that one never saw the light of day.
That sounds like a sci-fi original.
Yeah, and Fox still owns the script, and Disney owns Fox, so who knows what's going to happen.
We get an animated version. No, I'm calling it now. That will be Frozen 3, Revenge of the False Queen.
Fuck. No. First off, I'm mad that there's a Frozen 2. I didn't ask for it.
It's not for you. It's for all the little girls.
I don't know very many little girls
and adult women.
Yeah, that's probably more. It's going to be adults who are super into Disney, because I don't know, like, even during Frozen Mania, I didn't know as many kids, and I was working birthday parties, so I was doing a lot of parties. I didn't know that many little kids who really were into Frozen, or at least into Elsa and Anna. Most of it was either Olaf or...
Fuck Olaf.
Yeah, or there were a lot of the parties where they're like, no, I'm into Ariel, why are we doing Frozen?
I know Disney now owns everything in the world. Olaf is the Jar Jar Binks of Disney movies. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it right now. Olaf needs to die and go away forever.
I don't. That's why I'm sitting here going, we're gonna eventually cover the stage version of Frozen, and I'm just dreading it. Because I love the music in Frozen, but it's been so overplayed, and then fucking Olaf. Anyway, this isn't Frozen, but that is related to the rant about Disney.
You know what we need to do, Kay? We just need to let it go. Just let it go. And move on. Kay is trying to throw daggers at me telepathically.
So, a demo recording of one song from Revenge of the Old Queen exists, and the bootleg of the script has been circulated around the Rocky Horror fandom over the years, apparently. But I'm not in that fandom, so I don't know where you find it. I just know that it exists.
You're like, I give neither shit nor piss about this.
Exactly. So, let's talk a little bit about the midnight showings. So,
let's.
The main drive behind the popularity of this was audience participation.
Which I am not a huge fan of when I go to movies.
And that's where my anxiety just fucking spikes through the roof. So there's often shadow casts, as I said, acting out the movie. They're either in front of the screen, which my broken brain goes, sit down, or they're underneath the screen, which my broken brain goes, okay, I can decide what I'm focusing on.
So I have a question that I may regret the answer to. Mm-hmm. These shadow casts.
Yes.
Are these actors playing the movie out while the movie's going on?
Yes.
So it's not just randos who go, I want to play this role.
It's not just randos. It is actors that have rehearsed everything.
I guess that's better.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we found out is happening with the Little Mermaid broadcast, and I'm so bummed about that.
It just seems redundant. Why even do that?
I can get it for the purposes of this, because it's just another layer on top of what isn't that great of a movie. So that I'm like, okay, I get it, but I don't get why they're doing that with Little Mermaid. It doesn't work that way. If you're gonna do weird shit with your shows, just don't. Shadowcasts work for cult movies, not for Little Mermaid.
I would argue with Kay that shadowcasts don't work at all, because you go to a movie to watch the movie, and if you want to go to a play, you go to a play to watch the play.
Fair.
But, keep them different. Keep them separate. It'd be like trying to go to a baseball game that's also a soccer game at the same time. Like, you're just going to step on each other's toes.
Well, not necessarily, because the Shadowcast is doing the same thing that's going on the screen. It's just...
Okay, Kay.
It's controlled chaos.
Okay, Kay. It's like going to a baseball game where two different teams are playing two different games on the same field at the same time.
Okay, that's a little bit more fair, I guess.
You guys see what I have to deal with Kay, man?
So the audience is also encouraged to participate during scenes.
God damn it, that would drive me nuts.
The only one that doesn't send me into this horrible spiral of, oh dear God, what am I doing here, is when you dance the time warp. Because that is an audience participation section, and I'm like, okay, I can, and you'll see when we watch this that there is a part that lends itself to that. But the rest of the stuff that I'm going to tell you about, I'm like, why the fuck? So...
No, that's going to be... I have a feeling that that's going to be the beginning of just about every line of my notes is, why the fuck? Why the fuck?
So, the thing about Rocky Horror, the movie's bizarre, but when I was watching it, I expected more crazy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because of probably the hype that you had had?
Yes. And at this time, you know the stories of what Mama Kay let me watch as a child. So Rocky Horror was bland to me. It was
Okay.
one of those, okay, this is a serviceable show, I guess. I don't really like the fact that I feel like I'm kind of a freak right now. And then when you go to the live showing and you have people shouting over things and throwing hot dogs at the screen and stuff, then it's like, okay, yeah, I feel even more like a freak. Thanks.
You know, when I hear about that, people throwing toast and hot dogs at the screen,
Oh,
I just think about the poor people who have to clean up.
and let me get to that, because it's not just toast and hot dogs. They also will throw water, toilet paper, and rice at specific parts. And I seem to remember at one point plastic forks being included in the baggie that they hand you of stuff to throw at the screen during specific times. Not all theaters are doing this still because safety and also people...
Lots of cleaning up.
That and people pitching it a little too hard and breaking the screen.
Oh.
And so that, at least that is starting to go out of vogue a little bit, because having things fly over your head when you're already prone to anxiety is not great. Also, there are callbacks or ad-libbed responses. Well, ad-libbed in quotes because they're not really ad-libbed. And I'm trying to remember them, but...
You say callbacks. Are you saying that, like, people in the theater have lines that they say to the screen?
Yes. And they are done at certain points, and if you do it wrong or at the wrong time, you get shouted down in the theaters if you are disrupting the film. We are not doing those.
No, we're not. Even if you're like, for total immersion,
No,
Lauren, we're
no.
gonna throw hot dogs at the screen, I'd be like, no!
No, we're
not, Kay.
We're not fucking doing any of that. And the thing is that a lot of people like this, but for people who get really overstimulated, it's hell. And I get overstimulated easily. It's like, I don't like that sort of shit. So if you guys like midnight showings, go on and see one. There's Tower Theaters doing it, and who knows how long they'll be allowed to do it, since Disney now fucking owns this. Because Disney owns Fox, and Fox owns Rocky Horror, and, enjoy it while it lasts, because we can't fucking see Sunrise: A Story of Two Humans at movie theaters anymore, because fucking Disney. So, I'm sorry, I'm mad about that. And even though I do not like midnight showings, I support to the death the right of people who want to go to them. So, if Disney's being smart, they won't do that shit. They won't pull it. If they're being smart. But they aren't.
No, what Disney will do is they'll see, is this profitable?
Yeah.
Will we make money from this? Is it in our financial interest?
Then what? Oh god. Actually, this is probably what they'll do. I'm calling it right now. I'm putting it into the universe so that it doesn't happen. Disney will see how popular these are and completely commercialize them.
Yeah.
They will have the bags of things to throw at the film
Oh my God.
branded that you have to buy to go in. They will sell the costumes in the crappy Spirit Halloween type of costume every year for October. I'm putting this into the universe so that it doesn't happen. Because I don't want people to have this ruined for them if they enjoy it. So Disney better not fucking do that. Because they will have a lot of mad fans. I mean, I won't give a shit necessarily for myself, but I will feel bad for the people that have to deal with it.
My inability to not feel empathy for others.
Like, I will feel empathy for other people and be like, man, that sucks, but hey, I'm not dealing with it myself, because I'm not going anywhere near those showings, because my anxiety will be through the fucking roof. Because people.
Because people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's sort of your intro to Rocky Horror before we go see it. You've got history. You've got my author tract on how I feel about it and stuff. Yeah. So we won't be throwing toast at the screen.
Nor hot dogs.
Nor hot dogs.
Nor water. Nor plastic forks. Nor rice.
No shouting at the screen. I think one of them's "Damn it, Janet," because that's a line in the show.
Hey, and it rhymes.
Yeah,
I like
it does.
Damn it, Janet.
And yeah, yeah. And we won't be doing the time warp either, because...
Well, I don't dance.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna.
I can only do the white boy shuffle. We've established this. It is canon.
Mm-hmm.
God saideth to Warren, "You may only shuffle about like a white boy." And Warren said, "Yay, God."
Yay, God. Wow, that was a dumb joke. I apologize.
Don't you ever apologize for being adorable.
Aw, thanks. So, yeah, we'll go watch this. And who knows, maybe things will be better for me now with seeing this. I still think about how I felt watching it whenever I think about this show, so I don't know. And I'm probably the odd one out with my emotions regarding it, because...
You know what'll be really weird is if we get done and we come in here to record and I'm like, I loved it. I cannot believe I waited so long to see this show.
Hey, and if you do, that's great. That's great if you like it. I just know that I have very mixed emotions with this show, and none of it's regarded to the company that I first watched it with. It's all regarded to the show itself and the fucking midnight showings and Richard O'Brien. Because, yeah, everything else, I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's just this, I don't know, it doesn't call to me. It does the opposite of call to me. It pushes me away.
Says, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here, Kay. This isn't for you. Okay. Alright, so let's take a brief intermission and we'll go watch some Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yay.
Hi folks, we wanted to take a quick moment to thank our Patreon sponsors.
Thank you to our stage crew sponsors, Jasmine Wu and Reagan, and our producer circle sponsor, Bianucci.
Thank you so much for your continued support of our show.
We truly appreciate it.
Now let's hear a word from one of our favorite shows, History on Blast.
Hello, and welcome to History on Blast. I'm Hillary, and I'll be your host as we call out history. Every other week, we'll be putting a different person, place, time, or event on blast for the shit that they pulled. This ain't your grandpa's history podcast, so if this sounds like your cup of harbor tea, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast catcher.
And now, the lights are going down and the music is starting back up, so let's hop into the second act of the show. Okay, babe, how many shots are we doing? What did you think?
My. This show was quite the untamed thing. An odd spectacle with an unnecessarily bizarre string of things to sing.
Oh, yeah.
My. I didn't like this show.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
So, I feel like I needed to... Okay, so... I would hope that you, as well as people who know me and listen, by now, would know that I have nothing but support and love for people of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And I know that this show, apparently, is very important to many people of that community for its perceived empowering tones.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I have something nice that I can say about the show.
Yes.
It was not longer.
Yeah. No, if it had been any longer, then I would have just been like, no, we're not doing this one ever. Because
this is one of those fantastic, perfect examples of how not everything is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen this show.
Mm-hmm.
I can now say that I've seen this show.
Mm-hmm.
And when anybody asks me about this show, I can direct them to our review of said show.
Yes.
Because after this,
Mm-hmm.
I want to try and go a while, years even,
Mm-hmm.
without talking about it again.
So kind of like with me. Because I did not talk about it for a long time after seeing it, because I was just like, we're supposed to be happy about this?
So, I was struggling the entire time to find the empowerment
Mm-hmm.
bits of it, something that I could point to and be, okay, I can see how this might make someone feel empowered, to be themselves, kind of thing. And it's like, I know this sounds bad. I don't want to say that beggars can't be choosers, because I know that there's not very much. It's getting better now.
Yeah.
But for a long time, there has not been adequate representation in many communities for characters and stories that they can latch onto to have sense of representation.
Yeah.
I wish this show wasn't one of them.
Me too.
Because I don't feel like it is a good role model for people who would be...
I agree with you.
It's
because, yeah, it's one of those things when you have our villain who's also supposed to be like one of the main characters, and you can't, like, towards the end you can't tell if he's supposed to be I don't know what the message is trying to be here. When you have him doing the things he does, and you end up having something that bigots can point to and go, oh, are they like this? You mean like Rocky Horror Picture Show? Oh, you're a bunch of freaks.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're a bunch of... I mean, he pretty much rapes three, because one of them he created to have sex with. And so if you're trying to keep us from looking predatory, then why is I don't understand. And I wish, because I've seen people defend it, and I go, but are we seeing the same show? Or are you just happy that there's representation, period?
The only thing I can think of along those lines is that they're so happy to see something that they can latch onto that they're willing to ignore everything else for the nuggets that they enjoy, which is not invalid. Like, if you...
It's not. But it just is baffling.
Yes. Like... okay.
Yeah, we could probably get into it more as we discuss.
Oh boy, can we?
Yeah, because, no, I watched it expecting that maybe my view would have changed. No, it hasn't.
There's lots of things that are cult classics because they were actually really good when they got released, but maybe because of another thing that came out, it took away, from it, so it didn't do well financially, and then it was kind of revived years later, and kind of lived on in these other communities. This one, I can see why it didn't do well initially.
Yeah.
And why they had to resort to some weird public display of gimmickry to make it important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I agree.
Yeah, no. Okay. We're gonna start this ball rolling. I don't like the big red lips singing to me at the very beginning.
Me either.
But now
if we ever do a YouTube video for our podcast that we record, I'm going to record your lips singing for the Jesus Christ double feature episode, and I'll make a gif of your lips singing and stash that away for later. Giggity.
Oh my god.
The captions, however, during the intro, as you pointed out, are actually pretty funny for the people's, their names, their characters, and what their role is in the show. It had a neat little comedic take on the beginning. This show, I definitely get the feeling that the creator didn't create it with the intention of it being taken seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it's meant to not be taken seriously. However, it is so impossible to take seriously that I couldn't really even care at all about anybody in it.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially not the leads.
No.
You don't care about the leads at all.
No, Milquetoast Woman and Milquetoast Man were just...
Milquetoast.
They were just so bland and really not interesting people. Okay. So the show opens up with giant disembodied lips singing, science fiction double feature. The giant disembodied lips fade away, and we're greeted to a happy event. A wedding. Yay! To which I hear Kay say, this is the part you would throw rice at the screen, because it's a wedding, and that's when you see people throwing rice. Which, disclaimer, if you don't know this in 2019, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because the birds that eat it die from it. So,
don't fucking throw rice.
So don't throw rice. Yeah.
If you want to do something like that, throw birdseed.
Throw birdseed. Works the same way. It's better. Do that. Poor Kay, you guys. Poor Kay. This was the first time I had seen this, and I kept glancing over and looking at Kay, and they were just looking at their phone, not even really watching the show a whole lot. I mean, granted, they were watching the show because they'd be like, hey, you missed this. This is what happened. Oh, thanks. Thanks for helping to fill in the gaps.
I had to look away so much just because this show makes me so mad.
I can't imagine why. I wrote 3 pages of just glowing, stroking off just how great the show is. The newlyweds, because they're at a wedding, and we learn Brad is talking to his friend who just got married, and is like, oh, she's a great girl. Congratulations to the both of you. I'm happy, yada yada. The newlyweds drive off in their vandalized car, leaving Brad holding his dick while Janet is holding the bouquet and staring at Brad with doe eyes. Brad looks like worried that he's going to be expected to marry Janet since she caught the bouquet. But then he goes into a song and dance and proposes to her. A little bit of mixed emotions being acted on screen, in my opinion, because when he sees Janet catch the bouquet, he has this look of he does that thing that you do in movies where it's like, oh shit, and they like touch their forehead like they're wiping away cold sweats, like, oh no, this expectation is mounting. And then the two of them go off to kind of walk around and talk, and Janet's like, aren't they just such a cute couple? Oh boy, they're just so sweet. I sure would like to get married. And Brad is being very jittery, like he's very nervous, very anxious, just kind of but then he goes into the whole, he had the ring on him and was ready to propose. So why do we have this weird mixed emotional state of him like, oh shit, she's expecting me to propose. Good thing I brought this wedding ring to propose to her with.
The only thing I can think of is to make it so that when the things that happen towards the end happen, it feels more like it's a sexual awakening or something. But at the same time, it's like, but he obviously was prepared to do it and wanted to do this. So why you're sending mixed emotions here and mixed signals? Pick a fucking just pick.
You're about to say pick a fucking tone.
Pick a fucking tone.
That's like your catchphrase. That needs to be on a t-shirt. Pick a tone.
My God.
Pick a tone.
Worse than Weber with that.
So, after the song and dance number in which... after Brad and Dammit Janet have their dance in a church that is setting up for a funeral, we are greeted by a narrator? Investigator? A narrating investigator who sets up the apparent disappearance story regarding Brad and Dammit Janet, since these two normal, healthy kids who went to visit a former tutor and friend, it appears, under mysterious circumstances, disappeared. Because I'm going to have some questions for you about the ending, see how it ties into the beginning.
Yeah.
If we have the brain power to care to try and patchwork it together.
Yeah.
So, Brad and Janet, the narrator / investigator / criminologist, whatever he is, he's talking about how they went to go visit their friend, Dr. Scott, and then it just transitions immediately into them driving in a rainstorm on their way to go visit Dr. Scott. Of course, their trip goes awry as the couple hits a dead end on the road that they're traveling down. Brad's failure to ensure their vehicle was up to snuff for travel has doomed the young couple. Brad decides to abandon his partner and head to a spooky castle that they had passed earlier to see if they have a phone. Dammit Janet is like, "Damn it, Brad, I'm coming with you. I don't want you hooking up with any hot vampire chicks at this haunted old castle." Which she actually does have the line of like, "What if that telephone belongs to a beautiful woman? I might never see you again." That would have been your game, Janet.
Yeah.
You're probably the better character in this whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not saying much.
Yeah.
What's Susan Sarandon?
Yes. Susan Sarandon. Oh, yeah. No. It's... You have conflicting feelings, because it's like, this movie sucks, but damn, Susan.
Yeah. Yeah, damn Susan. Do you, I've only seen her in later films.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw her like that before.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it's like,
I think that's probably the only part of the movie that I will take away with me, is Susan Sarandon in her underwear.
For me, Susan Sarandon in Columbia,
Which one's Columbia?
She is the one who was attracted to Eddie and who is one of the few characters that I actually feel bad for in this.
Gotcha. I have lines about her later. I didn't know what... No, as standard practice with me, nobody goes by their regular names.
You're fine.
So, the couple leaves their car that now has a flat tire and walk back down the rainy road to the creepy haunted castle that they had previously passed. The couple disregards a warning sign on the bars of the castle grounds saying, "Enter at your own risk," because the plot dictates it.
And they white people.
Don't lump us all into bad horror tropes, okay? Because I'll tell you what, Kay, if we were in a similar situation as these folks, I'd not be approaching a creepy-ass castle at night during a storm while singing. I just don't want to. This seems very impractical.
No.
You and I would be just waiting in that car going, I guess we'll wait until
morning
or
this rain clears
something.
and then we'll go.
We'll just wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll find a way to keep ourselves warm.
Mm-hmm. They could have done that in the car and they would have been fine. They would have been perfectly fine. You just wait there until the rainstorm ends and then you're good. It's not like it's snowing or shit.
So, they ignore the sign saying, "Enter at your own risk," and go through the castle grounds up to the door. And Janet tells Brad, "Hey, let's not do this. I'm scared." To which Brad lovingly and very sensitively replies, "Quiet, woman. A man is taking charge."
Pretty much.
Brad knocks on the door, and creepy-ass bald hunchback tells them to come in. Oh, he has blood on his shirt, and neither Brad or Janet seem to give a crap about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good start for entering a creepy castle that you don't know the owners to is when the manservant who opens the door has blood covering him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm maybe he was working in the kitchen. Maybe it's some red paint, raspberry jam, maybe.
No.
But it turns out Brad and Janet are lucky. they're lucky to be here on this special night. Everyone is dropping acid and doing some time traveling, the strain of which is too much for Janet, who keeps fainting during this iconic scene/song, interspersed with scenes of the narrator/investigator dancing on his desk, because musical. This is the time warp scene, which this is the only song that I have heard outside of this show, just in the world. I don't even remember where I've heard it, but I've just, as soon as it was like, let's do the time warp again, I was like, okay, I'm familiar with that.
I think that song is most people's first exposure to this show, because that was my first exposure to it, because I was 11 and we had a CD of Dr. Demento stuff, and that was a song that was played on there a lot, and so I knew that song from that, but I never had seen Rocky Horror Picture Show until I was older. But
I don't think I liked the music in this show very much.
No.
Time Warp, I don't even like Time Warp, but I have a feeling that it's going to get stuck in my brain a little bit. But it's the only song that will, because if you asked me to pick any song, any scene that happened, and was there anything that I thought was catchy? No, not really. Mostly just bizarre. And sometimes horrifying. Yeah.
I also have a funny anecdote. Our school used to do the time warp for any school dance.
Now, when school you worked at, school you went to?
No, school I went to. Not the school that I worked at didn't even do school dances, so it's, no.
So we're back in the time warp room. Everyone in the room, except Janet and Brad, passes out from the strain brought on by time traveling, I assume. Janet tells Brad that she's scared and wants to leave. Brad is way too, open-minded, in my opinion, in this particular scene. Janet has the right of it, and wants to get out before Janet has the right of it. Get out! Get out before the master of these minions comes for you! Oh, too late. It's Tim Dragcula, and he's here to cement himself into Warren's nightmares for tonight. Dragcula was only here, Dragcula was only here to weird out his guests and then invite them up to his laboratory. So, as everyone's passed out on the floor after doing the time warp, Brad and Janet are discussing as they're backing up away from the room towards this elevator that's descending behind them, and Janet's like, this is scary, I want to go, and Brad's like, oh, these people might be from Europe, they might just have strange customs, we wouldn't want to interrupt the festivities of their party. To which I'm just sitting in the audience like, you dumb. You dumb. Like, yeah, you go ahead, respect people's cultural differences and the way that they celebrate, but if it's weird, you can get the fuck out. I agree with Janet in this. They should have gone.
Yeah.
You did a dumb, Brad. You did a dumb, and now you're going to pay for it.
This movie would have been so much shorter if it had been us.
What'd be funny is to actually do some iconic things if it happened to black people. And just have them be like, hell, nope, we're gone. Like,
we're gone. Let's go wait in the car.
Exactly. So, Dragcula brings the happy couple up to his laboratory, and creepy butler Hunchback proceeds to strip Janet and Brad down to their underwear. Then the two naked lovebirds are ushered into the elevator and brought up to Dragcula's laboratory. Brad is angry with Dragcula for giving them the runaround and not letting them use his phone. On a side note, Tim Curry is acting the fuck out of this role.
Yes.
Also, Janet and Brad have reversed their roles. Now Janet is the one telling Brad not to be rude, and Brad wants the fuck out of here. Damn it, Janet, stop clapping. Tim Curry absolutely steals the show in this. Tim Curry is cranked up to motherfucking 11.
Yeah.
He was...
This is the most Tim Curry role.
As much as I don't like this show, I still love Tim Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And I have very strange feelings about Tim Curry now. Because I love Tim Curry. But this... Like, I love his performance and his acting and being just this over-the-top character, but I also really don't like his character. It's a very, very bizarre maelstrom of emotions I'm feeling within myself right now.
Yeah.
Dragula says he's discovered the secret to the essence of life and is unveiling his creation, a mummy in an aquarium. Hunchback Butler lowers a food coloring machine, which Dragula proceeds to milk like a cow into the mummy's aquarium. You heard that right, devoted listeners, and it does not need to be repeated under threat of an aneurysm by my brain.
Yeah.
The mummy comes out of the tank, and he's a handsome, fit, platinum blonde who everybody proceeds to fawn over as he sings about the sword of Damocles hanging over his head, and he fears for his life. I think, pretty sure Damocles was the god or demigod of vengeance, so I don't know why he's singing about the sword of Damocles.
I don't know.
Oh, Dragula is horny for Mummystein and chases him around. Dragula is like, look at him, isn't he gorgeous? One of the henchmen is like, yeah, he's alright. To which Dragula throws a fit, dragging Mummystein over to Janet and Brad, asking what they think of him. Janet does the typical, I'm gonna spare my man's ego by saying that I don't care for an abundance of muscles, but we all saw the way you were oogling him, Janet. You're leaving a puddle behind you with every step. But sure, you totally are not into Mummystein, which is good, because Dragula didn't make Mummystein for her. After she has her line of like, well, I don't care for a lot of muscles on a guy, and then she looks over at Brad, and Brad's like, yeah, bullshit. Like, he has that look that every guy gets when their girl is like, oh, that person's too muscly, I like you, and we're like, uh-huh, but if I looked like him, you wouldn't object.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
No, I really don't like... Ugh. That's one of those things that I look at Rocky and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Rocky. I'm a
Whatever.
I'm a little bi for Rocky. Not gonna lie.
That's fine.
Yeah, not gonna.
You can be.
Mummystein made my zombie rise from the grave a little bit.
See, I felt that's one of the things where I do feel bad for Rocky too, because you know that he's just come into the world.
He's
and
a
already,
baby.
Yeah, he's a baby, and already he's basically there to be fucked.
He's a baby being sexualized.
He's a baby. He's got terminal baby disease.
He's a baby.
He does have terminal baby disease. He dies
does.
a baby.
Yeah, he dies as a baby.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Dracula leads Mummystein away from the confused couple and presents him a gift. Weights. A weight set. Painted like cotton candy. Or not cotton candy, Jesus Christ. Painted like candy canes. Yeah, painted like candy. Fun. How do you paint something to look like cotton candy? Like, is there a specific cotton candy color?
Yes, pink and blue. Like cotton candy garnet.
God damn it, you win, Kay. Oh, and, during this scene, where, Mummystein is flexing and ripping some hot curls with his, candy cane weights.
Making some sweet gains, bro.
Getting some sweet gains. Lobotomized Elvis Presley busts through the wall on a motorcycle like the Kool-Aid Man late for an AA meeting. Elvis Zombie sings for a bit, very awkwardly I might add, and because at one point, he sings and dances for a bit, very awkwardly I might add, because at one point he's literally just rolling around on the floor with this woman, and it looks very bulky and awkward. I think
that's with Columbia.
Columbia, thank you. I was struggling to remember her name, even though you said it like 5 minutes ago. Meatloaf, great guy, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Can't dance worth a shit. Should not be given a dancing role unless he's going to pull a Warren and just do the white boy shuffle, because anybody can do the white boy shuffle. It's genetic.
You know, it's kind of funny that Meatloaf plays this character who ends up not quite Meatloaf, but
Yeah, we'll make that joke when we get to it.
Awesome!
So, yeah, so Meatloaf, Zombie Elvis, is singing and dancing around in this room, and he tries to steal one of Dracula's wenches, Columbia, who Kay had mentioned, and is brutally murdered with a pickaxe. Turns out, Dracula has vaults of weirdos somewhere in the building, and sometimes they break free and run amok in song and dance, which is punishable by death, according to Count Dracula. It's actually a pretty bloody scene.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually quite surprised. And then he just laughs it off.
Yeah.
It just, ha, 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 ha. And everybody just goes about their business.
Mm-hmm.
Mummy Stein is upset that Dracula murdered Zombie Elvis. But Dracula is like, oh, don't fret, baby. It was a mercy for me to brutally murder him. He didn't have any hot muscles like you. He's useless. Mummy Stein seems fine with that, and the two get married right there, and then walk away 10 feet to bang behind a curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad that you... I'm glad that I grappled with the entirety of that scene. You don't feel the need to expand upon it anymore. Kate looks like she's battling with a migraine right now, just so you folks know. The investigator / narrator / criminologist / crimeologist recounts what we just watched and is like, yeah, people started to leave, and so Janet and Brad get their own room. But little do the two know that there were cameras in their room. Oh, and reality also might be illusion. If that's the case, Brad and Janet are fine. Brad comes in to bang Janet in her room, because I guess they have separate rooms, but it turns out that it's actually Dracula cheating on his new husband with another man's fiancé. Janet is like, promise you won't tell Brad?
First she's like,
okay.
no,
Yeah.
the consent is not there.
Fair. Well, first she's like, oh, you tricked me, get away, oh, no, I would never have done it, I thought you were Brad. But then he's like, oh, but you kind of liked it. She's like, yeah, I did. You promise you won't tell Brad?
That's dubious consent at best.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And I especially don't like it in a character that's supposed to make us feel empowered. Fuck that noise.
Yeah. So after Dracula seduces and starts to bang Janet, for some reason we are cut to Hunch Butler chasing off Mummy Stein for some reason. Fire! Scary!
Mummy Stein, who is chained to the bed.
He's chained to the bed, and Hunch Butler grabs a candelabra and, like, thrusts it at him, to which Mummy Stein is like, "Brr, fire!" And he breaks the chain and runs off.
And he doesn't look happy about the fact he was chained up. Like, I get
he doesn't know any better. Remember, he's just a baby.
Yeah, that's again dubious consent right there. You can't. Babies can't consent.
I don't hear you complaining when you're chained to the bed.
Yeah, because I consent.
Also,
there's a difference.
Also, Dracula fucks Brad too. Damn it, Brad. Then Janet launches into a bunch of, if only the car hadn't broke down. If only we hadn't had to come here. If only I hadn't just rolled over and let a strange man fuck me. Things wouldn't be so awkward. She then sees Brad on camera with Dracula and gets all, how could you, Brad? I mean, I did it, but how could you? So both Janet and Brad have the, no, I thought you were the other person. I'm not going to have sex with you. Oh, well, if you won't tell them, then I guess I will.
Yeah.
Like, they both do the exact same thing with Dracula, which I thought was a really dumb thing for both of them to just...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, consent doesn't... It's...
You know, and funny enough for me, it's not even the consent thing, it's the cheating thing.
That too, but
That's what bothers me.
Both things bother me, but when you're sitting here going, oh, this is supposed to... When people are holding this up as good representation, that's one of those things that people say, oh, if you're gay, or if you're trans, or if you're bi, you're gonna be a rapist, and you're not gonna let people consent. that's where I get pissed. Because I'm like, this is shitty representation. We deserve better.
Very understandable.
And not mainstream, but I don't know. I sit here and I go, we shouldn't have had to have this be the best for so long.
Just because something is popular doesn't mean that it's good.
No,
Just because something's good doesn't mean that it's popular.
It's one of those things too that then it's when you have. I just still think about the stuff that Richard O'Brien said in that Pink News article. I sit here and go, you should have kept your damn mouth shut, because now I'm watching this whole thing with what you've said in the back of my mind. And what is your opinion, actually?
And it makes a lot more sense given what he does to Dragula at the end. So it very much makes sense, his personal opinion about people of that community.
Yeah, I still get really mad, and that's a reason why every little thing I'm sitting here going, you motherfucker.
And Kay is an incredibly sweet human being, so if you get them to the point where they're like that, you've done fucked up.
Yeah.
So after Janet sees Brad cheating on her with her also cheating lover, Janet runs across Mummystein, who's upset and crying about being chased off with fire and attacked by dogs, as I think is perfectly reasonable. Janet's libido starts to flow, and she has Mummystein grab her chest because she wants to be dirty with a creature of the night, and the two of them have sex in his birth aquarium.
Yep.
Which, those are words I never thought I would ever say.
Nope. But they had to be said.
Yep.
'Cause that's what happened.
After the Mummystein and Janet bang in the... Well, I put fish tank, but now I like birth aquarium. We see Dragula give a vicious flogging to Hunch Butler while they take the elevator down. Dragula is very displeased with Hunch Butler for letting Mummystein get away. Hunch Butler is like, "But master, there's a new stranger at the door." It turns out to be Dr. Scott, who Janet and Brad had come all this way to meet. Dragula thinks Dr. Scott is here to shut down his freak show, but apparently Dr. Scott is here for Zombie Elvis, but no one seems to want to tell him that Dragula had an axe to grind with Z Elvis. Dragula blows the lid off of Janet and Mummystein's fling, basically walks over to the sex aquarium as everybody's in the same room arguing and pulls the sheet off and is like, "You two were fucking in here. I could smell it." And before he can undo his creation out of jealousy and rage, the dinner bell sounds. And in light of the company, clothing is optional. Yay! Turkey dinner in Dracula's castle! And the polite dinner songversation is about Zombie Elvis's background and how he was a rebellious punk who was always in trouble. Looks like he found a crowd rougher than he was. I wonder if Dragula ever picked his brain about his past traumas. Speaking of trauma, turns out they've been eating dinner on Zombie Elvis's corpse.
And possibly eating Zombie Elvis is what it's a little implied.
Really? Because they see them carve up a turkey.
That's not turkey. That's not what a turkey is shaped like. That's shaped like a...
Are you... No, because I swear that it showed, the actual bird. Okay, you are...
Nope. That is...
Okay.
That is a hawk. That is a people hawk.
Okay. Like a haunch of leg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, my eyes played tricks on me. I thought that they were eating a turkey dinner.
Nope.
Well, thanks for that, Kay.
You're welcome. That's 2 shows in 1 week that are cannibalism musicals.
Well, it is Spoopy month.
Mm-hmm.
So Dragula freaks out at the dinner table and slaps Janet, then proceeds to chase her around the castle while Brad and Dr. Scott follow via elevator because Scott's wheelchair bound. I don't remember how that happened. He wasn't wheelchair bound at the door.
No, he was.
When he first showed up, he's at the door?
Yeah, when he's first at the door, he's in his wheelchair, and then they then
Somebody-
Frankenfurter hits the
I know
electromagnet.
yeah,
so
somebody
that he-
uses the electromagnet to pull him towards them, but when
Yeah.
they're looking at him on the camera outside, I thought, okay.
Yep, he's in a wheelchair.
I guess the people in my brain were...
They were sparing you
They're
during
playing-
most of this.
I think they're at their terminals, like, playing cards and
Mm-hmm.
just talking about their fishing trip and just letting things run on autopilot. So, wheelchair-bound Dr. Von Scott with Brad catch up to Dracula and Janet. Did I miss something? Is Dracula actually an alien? Because I don't remember how that happened over the course of dinner and them running around into the laboratory. But then there's some hinted at thing
Mhm.
that he's an alien.
Yeah.
And granted, it gets revealed later, but then I'm just sitting here like, wait, did they say he was an alien?
They hinted at it, yeah, and they have the line of, there's another human at the door. Which I'm like, fuck you.
We're Terran, damn it. Dracula lured everyone into his statue room, where he uses magic alien technology to turn Brad, Dr. Scott, and Janet into marble statues. One of Dracula's groupies is in a huff. This is Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Guess she was with Dracula and then got dumped for zombie Elvis, who then got dumped for Mummystein. So much drama with these Transylvanians. Dracula bitches and moans about how everyone he loves turns against him. He says that in a room full of petrified former guests. On a side note, don't you hate it when the unexpected guest shows up and just hangs around like a lump of stone, taking up room, not contributing? On to the next scene!
God damn.
Turns out they dressed up Brad, Janet, Mummystein, and Dr. Scott in the same lingerie outfit. So while they're petrified in stone, they put clothing on them, then took them downstairs and put them on a stage. And they're in like the same style of clothing that Dracula was wearing when we first saw him. So it's like corset, feather, what's it called?
Feather boa.
Feather boa, thank you.
Fishnets.
Fishnets, like just that look.
The same sort of makeup.
Same sort of makeup, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, not even that. They have, like, fucking clown makeup on is what they look like.
That it's supposed to be similar.
Similar,
to.
yeah. It's similar, but worse, somehow. And so they have them dressed up in lingerie on stage, and they proceed to unpetrify each of them one by one as they burst into song and dance about feeling transformed. Speaking of transformations, the Transylvanian transsexual transvestite joins the group and sings to the audience about giving yourself over to absolute pleasure. And his words of wisdom, don't dream it, be it. Don't dream it. Be it. Okay. Be it. Don't dream.
And I sit here and I go, wow, that's, an interesting word of wisdom. Too bad that you're doing this hypersexualizing people and making... Because I sit here and I think about things that people have said about members of the LGBT community. And a lot of them have seen this show. And I sit here and I go, it's valid that some people are like that some people do like the hypersexualization of, but not all of us are. And some people will use that to hurt us.
And I think that if I had seen this years ago, it might have made me scared of trans people.
Yeah, that's why I'm so
Yeah.
mad at this show. Because I feel like, because this is written by a person who doesn't think that trans women are women.
Yeah.
This
And-
is written by a person who has said some really shitty things about trans people.
And in this movie, he makes the character who is talking about how they're trans this horribly abusive, manipulative,
Yeah.
cruel individual. It's
It's shitty.
it's grotesque.
And I sit here and I keep thinking about yeah, some people find it empowering when it's something super sexualized, because a lot of people feel empowered that way. And I keep going, am I weird for
No.
not feeling empowered at all, and in fact feeling even shittier about myself with this movie?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm glad,
At all.
because I just sit here and I just go, what the fuck?
Let me put it this way. I'm much more grateful that this show gives you the heebie-jeebies versus you want to live this show.
No, and I don't get the people who are wanting to live this show every day, because there are some people who are super obsessed with this show, and I don't understand it. And when I sit here and I hear people say how groundbreaking this one is, especially for, like, sexual revolutions and stuff, all I can think of is Hair. Hair does a better job with sexual revolution stuff than this show, and it was before it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm like, if you want that, go to that one, because this one, it's written by someone who doesn't think that you're valid, and who thinks that if you're gonna... I definitely
get the feeling that this show was written to be a spectacle.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't...
I mean, its roots are not in the LGBT community, it's in glam rock.
Yeah.
They just happen to use terms that were in the community at the time, like the term of being a transvestite was in the community, but that wasn't his main theme in the show. He was supposed to be he was wanting it to be more on glam rock, which is not the same thing, because there are a lot of cis straight men who do glam rock and who dressed in that way and who were not LGBT, and I don't know if they were allies even in the glam rock community. I mean, fucking Kiss is close to that, if you think about it.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yeah. That's where it led. That's where glam rock led to. And fucking Gene Simmons is a piece of shit. He's not, like, that's what this is. This isn't supposed to be our community. This is supposed to be glam rock. But because of the words used, it's easy to say, oh, they're representing us. They're mentioning us. And it's like, but this person doesn't think that you're valid if you want to fulfill what makes you feel better. And just says that you're not a woman.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's fucking bullshit. Sorry, I wasn't going to go on that, and I'm just...
If it makes you feel any better, Kay, any attempted sequels to this atrocity fell on their face and never happened.
Thank fucking God.
It will only live on as a cult classic. And I used that term, unfortunately. So back to...
this thing.
Dragcula giving the one bit of wisdom, don't dream it, be it, splashing around in a pool that was secretly hidden on stage but obscured by mist. Seems like a hazard to me. His workers should contact OSHA. Then the rest of them jump into the pool, and I don't know, are they swim orgying?
Yes.
That's the only way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Swim orgying. Because the way that Dragula, he's got one of those ring things that you're sitting in with your butt. Can't remember what they're called, whatever. Water.
An inner tube?
Something like that. Similar. I don't think it was like a inner tube as we know them now. It was
yeah,
like
it's more of a life preserver type.
But he's sitting into it, just splashing around, floating in the pool, singing just repeatedly, don't dream it, be it. Mm-hmm. Don't dream. But he's like orgasming while he do. He's like, don't dream it. Be it. Don't dream it. Be it. And then Brad, Janet, and Mummy Stein all jump into the pool and are just groping each other and rubbing bodies in the pool. Just swim orgy.
Yeah.
Just. And I don't know why they it's like because it's like Dracula is just so sexually magnetic that they just can't keep themselves away from him.
And I'm sure that there's a thing of saying that, oh, this is them finally exploring sexuality, but I have an issue with that, with the line that Brad's saying, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it's something like, it was to the tune of, it was in the tone of like, please mommy save me, or something like that.
And he was in the pool, yeah. He
And
has something
it's
about
like,
his mommy.
It's like, that's not someone wanting to do what they're doing. That's really fucking weird phrasing that you're doing here.
Yeah.
That's why I sit here and go, they're not consenting to this. The characters are not actually consenting. They are not under their own control. And you even see that with Dr. Scott, with his legs moving past his control, because he's a paraplegic. And so, he's not in control of himself either. So it's like, what the fuck, Richard? What the fuck?
Yeah, Dick. What was your thought behind that?
God!
Speaking of Dick, it turns out that Hunch Butler and servant woman Magenta have had enough of Dracula's shit. They want to make him go back home, but he convinces them to give him one more song about all the blue skies he's seen through all the tears in his eyes and how he realized he's going home. This is sung to an audience of mirages who appear in this vacant theater, applaud, then disappear, because I guess that's not any stranger than anything else here. So when they're all fraternizing in the pool, that's when it makes the reveal, like, that's when Hunch Butler and Magenta show up. They're like, we're leaving, you're done, like, wrap it up, Dracula. And he's like, oh, fine, I'll finish this up, you all are so mean to me. But they're like, and then after he does his weird song and dance number about blue skies and tears in his eyes to a room full of ghost people, all of a sudden, Hunch Butler, I'm gonna start calling him Hunch Butler McDick Brian. I'll just call him Dick. Dick and Magenta are suddenly wearing really cheesy 50s alien space uniforms. That was one of those things that I'm like, very easy to tell that it's inspired by like
a B movie.
Old school B science fiction movies, like the way that every alien was dressed. And they are going to kill Dracula for his lifestyle. It sounds like that that is why they're murdering him. Is his
fucking every human that he comes across.
His hedonistic lifestyle. I mean, I don't disagree with their choice because I don't like Dracula, but Dracula gets the zappy zap from a trident laser and dies, to which Mummystein
They're killing him for the wrong reason.
It's exactly right. To which Mummystein is very upset. He picks up Dracula's body, and Dick tries to pew-pew him too, but the red laser beams bounce off of Mummystein's pectoral perfection. Mummystein carries Dracula's body up the radio tower model that was on stage, all while being blasted from behind, giggity. The poorly constructed set model collapses and kills Mummystein, whose mighty muscles were not enough to save him from the collapsing set. His body floats in the pool with Dracula. And, Hunch Butler, Dick, and Magenta tell Brad and Janet and Dr. Scott that they can go. And I fucking called it, these clowns are aliens from the planet Transsexual, 'cause...
in the galaxy of Transylvania.
'Cause fucking reasons. I guess O'Brien also just... fuck you. The entire fucking castle is also a spaceship and flies away. The investigator/narrator has a line about how humans are insects on the world, or something like that. I don't know, I'm probably missing parts of that, but honestly, it's the end of the show. I didn't really care for the show, probably because I'm a cis white male, if I were to pick one reason why I didn't like this show.
And I don't like this show because it's shitty representation, and it's not good. It's not. It's not even so bad it's good.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
See, and that when I was watching the show, I had that thought creep up a couple times. I was saying, objectively, like, is this one of those shows that it's so bad that it turns out to be good? And I'm like, after sitting with it for a while and watching how everything goes, it's just bad. Like, it is just bad.
Yeah.
And I kind of have mental health concerns for people who have latched... Okay, so let me rephrase that. If you're part of the LGBTQ community when this movie came out and there was negative representation, there was nothing out there at all for people of that community to have, and they found some little kernel of something in this and clung onto it, okay, I can kind of wrap my brain around that rationale under the guidelines of beggars can't be choosers type of thing.
Yeah.
However, now, if you are 30 years old or younger and part of the LGBT community, there is no reason to think that this show is good for that community.
I don't know a ton of people who are our age or younger who think that. I do know a few. And I seriously question what they have seen outside of this show.
And see, that's what I mean is that...
Because because there's other shows that exist now. We have more representation, and we have representation where the LGBT folks are human.
Yes. They are not freaks and monsters and aliens.
Yeah, we have that now. It's not a ton of it, but we have it, and it's good.
And it's better than it's ever been.
And even at that time, even though it's not like... Even though the only real representation we get in Hair is Woof, who's bi, he's still human.
And granted, he's a slut, but so is everybody in that show.
Everybody in that show, but they are consenting in it.
Yes, it's
which
free
is a
love.
huge thing
Yes.
that isn't in this. They don't have that aspect in this.
No, it's a lot of mindfuckery and pressuring.
Yeah, it's not healthy. And it really worries me with that, because I sit here and I go, this explains... And even when I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, this explains some things that I've heard from people who are judgmental towards me and towards people like me. If this is your exposure to our community, I can see why you're saying that. It's not right, but I can see why you're saying it. It's like if all of the... Yes?
You finish your thought and then I have a great analogy.
I just... This will sound horrible, but it feels like an LGBT minstrel show.
That is fucking genius.
That's what it feels like to me.
That is so accurate.
Because
that is perfect.
I sit here and I go, this smacks of fucking Eddie Cantor and Al Jolson, but for LGBT folks. It just... That's what it smacks of to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it feels like to me, and that's why I can't like this show.
So coming as a straight white male who is aware of minstrel shows and has seen some of that in terms of, historical context, and then also seeing this, I think that is a very accurate thing to say, is because they're taking, they're taking something about another person and making it a costume, a character, and not taking care for the damage that they're doing by doing that.
Yeah, because I'd love to be able to take off my skin sometimes and not look the way that I do. I'd love to be able to I'd love to not have to deal with the stigma. But I can't. And that's the same thing here. It's a fucking minstrel show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is to is to trans people what marijuana is to reefer madness.
Yes.
Is the analogy. Like, it is that accurate.
Yeah.
Like, it's that kind of...
Yeah, in that case, this
insanity.
is reefer madness. It makes sense why Reefer Madness saved this movie. It shouldn't have, but it did, and I'm just sitting here going, because I don't want to invalidate Richard, because Richard has stated, that he feels like sometimes he's a little fluid, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you could have done better, and after the fact, you could have said better. The fact that you said what you said in 2017, and then again I see it pop up in a Daily Mail article this fucking year, I'm like, why? You know that we are getting murdered.
I think it's in the same vein as crap, we were talking about her earlier. Former tennis player. Caitlyn Jenner.
Tennis?
Wasn't she a tennis
I
player?
thought, maybe?
Whatever. Anyways.
I don't do sports.
Yeah,
but...
whatever. But I think the reason that Dick does that is the same reason that after Caitlyn transitioned, she was on Ellen talking about how she doesn't agree with homosexuals and their lives. It's the same kind of irrational disconnect that you can be.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the equivalent of me saying, I think that interracial relationships are disgusting and should not be allowed.
Yeah.
Mine's fine because I say it's fine. Or maybe, a Hispanic person can't be with an Asian. That's just disgusting. It's the brain cells floating around in people's skulls are not communicating properly.
Yeah, because it's like the gatekeeping that happens in the LGBT community. It's like if you're bi but married to a man, you're not bi enough. Or if you're trans but you're not transitioning, or if you're trans but you are transitioning, then if you're a trans woman and you're I see it all the time, and
it's the exclusionary othering that is in so many communities that doesn't need to be. It's like people have you haven't suffered the same way I have suffered, so therefore you're not X enough. You haven't been through what I've been through, so therefore you're not Y enough. Or, it's the unnecessary spreading of additional suffering for people who are in the same community and should be bolstering each other.
Yeah.
Rather than tearing each other down, so...
Yeah, and I feel like Richard kind of does that with this show. Because not everyone comes away with that feeling of, this is what they're like? But enough people do.
That's the thing is, like I'd said, in my ignorant, sheltered existence, if I had seen this when I was younger, I would have come away with it thinking that transvestites or transsexual, trans people in general were scary or weird or something, because me being me, I would have, I saw in a movie and said it was a transsexual, so must be representative of how they are.
How transgender people are. It pisses... Yeah,
it's okay. Your mantra needs to be, it's a good thing this isn't more popular.
Except this is wildly popular, and that scares me sometimes.
Is it wildly popular?
At least in October. And, it's got a cult following. A lot of people reference it. It's popular enough that it affects people.
So let's do an experiment. Let's remove any political underlining things regarding LGBT community. Let's just examine this as just a musical movie. Still sucks.
Yeah, it's still shitty.
Still sucks.
There's has 3 memorable songs.
One if you're me.
Yeah.
Yeah. My final thoughts for this. What can I say? What I can say is, I'm not planning to do the time warp again. I'll leave that to the space taints from Planet Transfuckery.
Yeah, I hate this movie.
Yeah, I was not looking forward...
Rewatching it, I hate it.
I was not looking forward to recording this particular episode.
But now
hey,
it's done.
We've done it.
We've done it.
We got through it together, Kay.
Yep, and I kind of feel like people would have to pay us to watch the stage version. Because...
I'll tell you what. I'll bring other things to throw.
Well, you don't throw things at the stage version. It's just the midnight showings at the movie. And the stage version, I don't know. No, it's probably not any better with regards to these themes and the whole dubious consent and shit.
Really, I don't want to give Dick O'Brien any more coverage over his shitty show.
Yeah,
Has Dick done any other shows, or is this his only claim to fame?
He's done other shows, like Shock Treatment and...
Oh, other probably not good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I looked on TV Tropes because I saw that he had an entry, and this is the only show, and they put him as a one-hit wonder, basically. Which I'm like, yeah, good.
What's his fucking damage, I wonder? Like,
I don't know.
For him to be the way he is, but then be like, yeah, but these people are gross.
I don't know, and I know that he's been married 3 times or something, 3 different women, but...
I'm sure that they were all the problem.
No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I wonder if it's the culture he grew up in, because, I mean, England was pretty homophobic for a long time. I don't know if that's what it is, and transphobic for a long time, too. I think that it's pretty recent that being trans is even slightly acceptable in England. I know that fucking TERFs try to take over the Pride Parade all the time, which also fuck off TERFs. Yeah, no, this might be one of my least favorite musicals, but I didn't want to, I already had tainted it a little bit to you, but I didn't want to drop that bomb on you yet.
No, that's the thing is, like, I have not been asking you, when are we going to do Rocky Horror? When are we going to do Rocky Horror, Kay? Kay, I really want to do Rocky Horror. So
Yeah.
I knew that it was coming down the pipe eventually.
Yeah.
And I was just going to have to put that barrel to my chin and let it rip.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe it's just the way that I was brought up, or if it's my own personal... I don't know what it is, because I sometimes feel like I'm the weird one for being non-binary and bi and fucking hating this show. And thinking that it is a minstrel show for trans people. But that's how it... for trans and bi people. But that's how it feels to me. And I feel bad saying it, because I know there are a ton of people who this show is super important to, but man, it fucking pisses me off.
Yeah. I absolutely understand why.
Yep. So, next week, there is no cannibalism. There is no transphobia, because shockingly that's not the case in the next week, even though the same person responsible for Elektra did the show that we're going to be doing next week, because next week is episode 40.
And I already know what show it is. This is probably this has got to be in the top 5 most iconic shows that I have never seen.
Yep.
But I've seen it referenced to High Heaven. I know a bit about it just from spoofs and from hearing people talk about it, and yet I have never, ever, ever seen any version of it.
We will be watching Phantom of the Opera, which, after some of the other shows I've seen, I think I'm going to enjoy it.
You hear that, Weber? This will be the first time my wife's ever enjoyed you.
Well, I mean, when I was a child, I enjoyed Cats and Joseph, but I don't know. After this last episode and after the last Weber show that we watched, I might actually change my opinion on Phantom of the Opera.
And I think that in an effort... So the people in my brain all started paying attention at the same time, and they were like trying to play catch up because they've been tuning in and out, and they went, wait, she said Katz and Joseph. Oh, they must be talking about Weber. Quick, what's everything that you know about Weber? And my brain made a meme inside my head. And it's a orange cat sitting inside of a toy train with a Technicolor coat around him and a phantom mask.
Singing Don't Cry For Me, Argent. Well, you don't know that one yet, but yeah. Yeah, that's... Except for that we didn't have Jesus Christ Superstar in there anywhere, but...
We'll make a tank or a jet or something.
Yeah, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to next week, because it won't be depressing, it won't be...
I'm looking forward to it just because I know that it's really popular, and so I at least hope that I like it somewhat.
I may have to leave the room during Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, but that's my own personal damage, so...
You do you, babe. Babe.
Babe.
My brain was like, you do you, boo, and then my brain was like, don't you fucking say that. And
Call her babe.
Call her babe instead, and they compromised.
Oh, man.
Boob.
Yeah, so...
You do you, boob.
So yeah, next week will be Phantom of the Opera. It'll be a return to some normalcy. And then we'll reveal the theme for November, which if you're on the Discord, at the Podcast Junkie Discord server, you already know what the theme for November is.
It's a good theme, let me just say
It's a very good theme.
Very clever.
So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for putting up with my angry ranting about this show, because I have a lot of opinions about it. And hopefully it doesn't turn too many people off. It's just that's how I feel about this show. That's how I feel about the person who created it. Doing the research for this really fucked me up about this show, so... Yeah, I shouldn't do deep dives about creators when I'm doing these, and I should save them for when we do creator episodes, like episodes highlighting creators, instead of when I'm trying to get the context for a musical. I need to just not do that. Because then I come away going, fuck you. Or I come away going, oh, you were inspired by Bach. Sweet. Good job. So, yeah, thank you guys. Sorry for the ranting, and hopefully I didn't piss anyone off or offend anybody. I'm sorry if I did, and if what because this is just my own opinion, and yeah, I don't know, I'm not the be-all, say-all for non-binary folks or black folks or anything, but that's my opinion as one, so, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you are the queen of the black and LGBT.
Oh God. No, that's not me. That's Laverne Cox.
For me! Just me!
Oh, just for you. Okay.
Just me.
Okay.
Because I'm selfish.
Also, and now and MJ Rodriguez is also a queen. Love her. Anyway, we need to watch, by the way, the Little Shop of Horrors clip with her, because she's fucking amazing. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Tone Deaf Musical. We're on Facebook at Tone Deaf Musical. If you want to throw money our way, we're a Tone Deaf Musical at Patreon. This kind of took it out of me, so I'm trying to still English. We have a website, tonedeafmusical.com, where you can catch up on our episodes. I've got them all posted now, and
as well as links to all of the places you can find us.
You can also find us on the Podcast Junkie Discord server, which I have a link to on there as well. We have our own channel, and the place is way frickin' awesome, so I highly recommend it. You got anything you want to add, babe?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry that
It's okay.
it made you upset.
Well, we had to do it eventually, so better to rip the Band-Aid off. We'll just go get drunk in a minute. All right, so thank you guys so much for listening. That'll be it for this week. I'm Kay.
I'm Warren.
This has been Tone Deaf.